Hello guys and welcome to Odds on Bundesliga match day 22. We have Radek Vegas to analyze this match day. Radek, perhaps the Bundesliga most interesting in the last 10 years. We have 6 teams in only 5 points.
Yes, and it's the first time since we have 3 points for a win in the Bundesliga, which was invented 1995, so almost 30 years ago. And it's the first time at this stage of the season that we have 3 teams equally with the same amount of points at position 1 with Bayern, Union Berlin and Borussia Dortmund. And Bayern is facing Union Berlin on this game day, and it's going to be very exciting as Bayern seems to have a lot of problems.
Indeed. So let's analyze the 9 games we have this weekend. Remember, guys, ask any question to Radek or comment in the video, press the like and subscribe. And now let's go on with the show. We have already some comments. Some of them make me happy, like Yves reminding us the performance of Real Madrid in the Champions League, but also the German teams have to play, or well, played on Tuesday in the Champions League, Eintracht Frankfurt, but we will talk about Eintracht in a minute. Radek, now it's time to talk about Mainz and Gladbach. Luckily for Bayern Munich, no, they don't face Gladbach every single week. They only get good results against Bayern for Gladbach. Otherwise, very poor season. This one, they are 8th in the standings. Let's see if we have the curse of beating Bayern Munich when they go to Mainz, a team that was able to beat Leverkusen in the previous match day.
Yeah, 2 of the biggest surprises in the last game day, which was full of surprises. And now I don't understand the odds on Gladbach as, they beat Bayern Munich. And in some cases, there has been a curse. But to be honest, Gladbach should not lose at Mainz. And they are not the underdog who deserves odds around 3 point or something else. And I think we have to ride the Gladbach trend now, and I don't believe in curses anymore. And I know that in the past there have been some irrational results of teams who got points at Munich or against Bayern Munich. And for sure, Gladbach is not the favorite as well. That's why I'm a bit aware of that, but the odds make no sense that Mainz is the huge favorite here. And I have 2 options. As I said, that Gladbach is not the underdog. We should bet on Gladbach is not losing. We can do that by betting on Asian Handicap 0 or draw no bet on Gladbach. We get odds of 2.4. This is awesome. And even less risk if there's a draw. We win half of our money with the Asian Handicap plus 0.25 with odds of 2.0 or 2.1. And at the end, I also like a draw here because we get really good high odds for a draw of 3.88. And in a game like that, where both teams are almost equal, position 9 at home, position 8 away, coming from a Bayern win and Mainz coming from a Leverkusen win, I think both are good at the moment. But they shouldn't hurt each other in this game. So a draw is a good thing.
All right, good odds for Gladbach because they are letting us down this season, as Rick is telling us that Gladbach always let him down. They are doing a poor season, also a very poor season. Wolfsburg now traveling to Cologne. Cologne, they are favorites with odds 2.5. They lost against Stuttgart, but at home, only 2 defeats this season. Actually, they beat Eintracht, for instance, in the last home game, whereas for Wolfsburg, they are in really poor form, only 1 point in the last 4 games. And was against Schalke.
Yeah, and I expected more of them against Leipzig, and they lost 3-0. On the other hand, Cologne was poor against Stuttgart. Losing 3-0 against Stuttgart is not really a good result. And to be honest, in the streak of Cologne is kind of bit unbalanced, as you can see. They scored 3 goals against Eintracht Frankfurt at the win, but beside that, they only scored 1 goal in the last 5 games, and this is okay because they had to play against Leipzig and Bayern Munich, but at the end, that seems like Cologne is struggling a lot, and in this situation, I really think Wolfsburg has the power to collect at least 1 point here, and maybe even more. And in this situation, I also think a draw is a good option here with the 3.66. Means that you can't know who is gonna win this game, because Cologne, betting on Cologne is no option because the odds are too low. Betting on Wolfsburg could be an option, but the odds on Asian Handicap 0 are also not really good with 1.75. So these are the 2 considerations. Betting on Asian Handicap 0 gives you a 1.75, and at the end, you don't win a lot. So this is not a thing I would put my personal money on, but it's the only thing I would say in this game, that betting either on Cologne or Wolfsburg Asian Handicap, you can do whatever you like, but I don't see a really good bet here.
Raymond is telling us both teams to score an over 2.5 goals. If we check the stats, this is not a good idea, actually, because we have
it's never
Wolfsburg.
A good idea to combine things like both teams to score and over 2.5. And I think in the long run, it's a really bad bet. Sometimes you win, okay, but you don't get good odds for the risk that you have involved in such bets, and I don't like it.
Wolfsburg, they are the worst team, actually, in both teams to score in the Bundesliga. Only 43% of the games ended in both teams to score, same as Schalke, for instance. And let's talk about the relegation battle. We have Hertha, Augsburg. Hertha, they are back in relegation spots. They are penultimate after losing against Dortmund. They remember that they beat Gladbach in the Olympia Stadium in the last home game, perhaps. Hertha have to do as Augsburg are doing. They are now far from the relegation spots because they are building a stronghold at home. 3rd consecutive victory for Augsburg, 1-0 at home.
Yeah.
The way they are put.
That's impressive, indeed. And both teams show different faces in their last games, as Augsburg only was able to win at home, but was surprisingly winning against some teams at home where you normally don't expect them to win, like Leverkusen and Gladbach. On the other hand, also Hertha was able to beat Gladbach. So this is a kind of crazy Bundesliga, as a team like Hertha on position 17 scores 4 goals against Gladbach, a team which beats the best team in the world with Bayern Munich. So completely insane and impossible to predict. So I apologize if I am wrong at 1 or 2 bets at this game day as well, because you never know. But statistically, the best thing here in my eyes is to back up the underdog in most cases, because if the favorite has low odds and the favorite is not a clear favorite as Hertha, come on, why should you bet on Hertha? There are no reasons for that at all. And on the other hand, it's hard to trust Augsburg if they're not playing at home. Anyway, I would say Augsburg is able to keep 1 point, and we get odds which are okay. So Asian Handicap plus 0.25 on Augsburg gives us odds of 1.95. That means if there's a draw, which is highly likely, we also win half of our bet amount with the half of this odd. And I I trust Augsburg not really, and I think this is also a game that can go in each or the other direction. But the odds on Augsburg I like more than on Hertha.
Well, difficult to trust any of these teams. We have Augsburg now 5 points away from the playoff spots, risking now relegation. We have Hoffenheim. Next game is Hoffenheim Borussia Dortmund. They have exactly the same points as Bochum. Is crazy, no? How they are falling in the table. Only 2 points in the last 11 games, so it's the worst run of any Bundesliga team. And they are facing Borussia Dortmund, the best team in 2023. 8 consecutive victories. They've won absolutely everything in this new year.
Yes, and enough said. We have 2 clear streaks, 2 clear trends. The first team is always losing. The away team is always winning. So why should we do anything else than betting a Dortmund win?
Are high for Dortmund, not to win.
Yeah, why not? 1.85 we have to, as Hoffenheim is horrible. And yeah, and I'm also sure that they will draw here and or something completely different happens, but you can't bet on speculations as we have such clear trends and not bad odds.
So you go Dortmund to win, your tip?
Yeah, 1.9 or depending on where you're betting, compare on Oddspedia and you get the best odds for that, yeah.
Indeed. Also, Rick is grabbing this Dortmund to win. Also, they had rested this week because they played Champions League the week before. Teams playing in the Champions League. We have a clash. It's Leipzig, Frankfurt. We have Frankfurt losing to Napoli in the Champions League. In the Bundesliga, they beat Werder Bremen, but they suffer when they are traveling. No victories in the last 4 away games for Frankfurt. And we have Leipzig. We are recording this video on Wednesday, so they haven't played yet, against Man City, but they got a clear victory against Wolfsburg after that defeat at home against Union Berlin.
Yeah, and I think the advantage would be on Leipzig if they would not have to play against Manchester City, which should be a really tough game here. And I think Leipzig has a chance against Man City, so they have, if they want to have a chance, they have to put everything in it, and that could be also then a shift of the advantage to Frankfurt. So the odds on Leipzig with 1.75 are way too bad against a team like Frankfurt. But on the other hand, we know that Frankfurt had also a tough game against Napoli, which they lost 2-0. Not a really bad thing, as they got a red card with their best player, Cologne. And it was not a clear win for one of the best teams in Europe at the moment, as Napoli is leading in the Serie A by far. So this shows that Frankfurt is a good team. Anyway, they lost the last game against Cologne. I think both have the trouble of the Champions League, and in such a situation, I also want to back up the underdog, and I would say that the best thing is to bet on a draw, because we get awesome odds of 4.3 between 2 teams where everything is possible. And I think on a regular day, Leipzig might win closely, but with the Man City game in their bones, I think Frankfurt also has a chance.
Frankfurt, for instance, they drew in Munich against Bayern, so they are able, of course, to get good results away from home. The opposite for Bochum, for instance, that they are awful when they travel. Werder Bremen Bochum is our next game, only 3 points away from Bochum this season, only 1 victory against Augsburg. The other games were defeats. Should we back Bremen because of this?
Yeah, seems so. Because Bochum also was only good at home. Really, the problem is here we also have really bad odds on a bad team like Bremen, because they managed to get some results in between, but in the last 2 games They lost 2-0 and didn't score goals, and they didn't have any chances there. And after 2 such bad games, how can you give a team like Bremen odds of 2.1? Doesn't make any sense. That's only because they had good home results in the past, and the past is long over. We should not focus on that. And on the other hand, Bochum is also horrible, and you can't bet on them if they're playing away. So the obvious thing is here, also you can bet on a draw because the 3.8 gives you the best value for investing money. Or the other thing, as 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐷𝐿, the king, says, no, bet on this is mostly the best thing if you don't have a clear point and a clear value. But an interesting thing here is, I think that you can bet on both teams to score. No, as we have 2 bad teams, and how should you bet on someone scoring in a game like this? Doesn't make any sense. So at least one team should not score here. I think it might be Bochum as they play away, and also I would not be surprised if there's a 0-0 or something like that. And as 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐷𝐿 says, just don't waste money on games like that.
Well, we have also Raymond telling us Füllkrug to score. He's the top scorer of the Bundesliga with only 13 goals, we have to say. Do you ever bet in goal scorer?
Yeah, sometimes, yes. I was betting on Messi scoring in the World Cup final, for example. I was betting on Lewandowski gonna be the best goal scorer year after year in the last 3 or 5 years. And
that's a safe bet.
Yeah. It was kind of a sure bet, and now we have problems finding a good goal scorer in Germany. So in this situation, yeah, I think Füllkrug is not in his best shape at the moment. So it depends always on the odds. Sometimes you get great odds on goals scorers, but I won't bet on the obvious goal scorers, as Füllkrug is the 2.5 odds or 2 point something. Yeah, sure, against a team like Bochum, he can score, but I don't think that he's in a great shape at the moment. But yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Well, probably you shouldn't bet on a goal scorer in the next game. We have Schalke Stuttgart. We have Schalke with 4 consecutive goalless draws. I guess this is also a record in the Bundesliga, and this is a must-win for Schalke playing at home against Stuttgart, another team involved in the relegation battle. There is 6 points gap between these 2 teams. What do you bet in this case? Another draw, for instance, for Schalke.
Yeah, but it's highly unlikely that they draw again after 4 consecutive 0-0s. That's really a record. And if they draw again, it would also be another record, because I think it was only twice in Bundesliga history when 2 teams had 5 draws in a row. And would be also 5 draws in a row for Schalke against Stuttgart. It's for sure a thing that easily can happen if you look at the odds. The bookies expect a draw, as the away team has odds between 2 and 2.5, or even between 2 and 3. You can blindly bet on a draw and make no loss in the long run, I think. But that's not our point. I think Stuttgart was finally finding the way to the net in the last game, as they won at home 3-0. This was awesome and long deserved, because I always was telling that Stuttgart is not a bad team. That if they lose very closely to almost every team. They had no game where they have been overrun with a lot of goals against them. On the other hand, Schalke is not, they don't know how to score goals. That's their huge problem. So they decided to park the team bus in the goal and not let anything in. That's the best they can hope. But that's not enough for the Bundesliga, to be honest. And on the other hand, Stuttgart is a good team, and that's why I hope that Stuttgart is continuing their run and prove that their young team is now able to make some good games. I like the Asian handicap 0 on Stuttgart, that they are not losing at Schalke. You get odds of 1.75.
We have a comment here from Raymond going for the under 2.5 goals. The problem is that I guess is gonna be very low, of course, the odds for the under in this game, taking in consideration that Schalke, they are unable to score a goal. And we have two more games, good ones. On Sunday, we have Freiburg Leverkusen, because Leverkusen, they are playing Europa League. In Monaco, they are in bad shape, in bad form, really bad numbers, 3 defeats in the last 4 games. And we have Freiburg. I think no one thought, Radek, at this stage of the season that they will be in Champions League spots. They are keeping the good form, and they are especially strong at home.
Yeah, and I'm expecting them to lose games for a long time now, and they keep continuing their good streak. And impressive also of Freiburg is that they had 2 really horrible games where you think this game or this team is not good anymore if you lose with 5 goals against Dortmund, 6 goals against Wolfsburg. But what Freiburg did is getting to the quarterfinals in the cup after that, and winning 2 hard games after that at Bochum and at home against Stuttgart, and prove that they are not focused on results like the famous US football show Ted Lasso, what I'm watching at the moment. It's a really, really interesting thing to watch for football fans. And the coach there says that he's not interested in results, and that this seems like a kind of the strategy of Christian Streich of Freiburg, as Freiburg can easily go away with a loss and be focused in the next game 100%. That's the danger here. And on the other hand, Leverkusen, I thought they had a better start in the year 2023, but the last results, as you told us, were not really good. And now a hard game at Monaco, where they should not win, in my eyes. And it's hard to beat Monaco at home, I think. So after all, I think Leverkusen is not a team which Freiburg can easily beat at the moment, because they are for sure better than Bochum or Stuttgart. And in this situation, I like the high Leverkusen odds. And to be honest, this game is also a game where you don't know who's the winner. But if you have odds like this on Leverkusen, it's okay to bet on Asian handicap 0, as you don't lose if there's a draw, and the odds for that are still very attractive, as a team like Leverkusen should not win more than half of their percentage, or they should not lose more than 50% of their games against Freiburg, and you get a value bet here.
All right, Radek is going a little bit against the trend. Our viewers are backing Freiburg in different ways to win either half, draw, no bet. Well, this is a good game, of course. Freiburg, they are in Champions League spots. They are 4th in the standings. And the best game, you mentioned it at the beginning, is Bayern Union Berlin, both at the top of the standings with 43 points. Union Berlin, they have to play a key game also in the Europa League against Ajax. 3 consecutive victories away for Union Berlin, including recently against Leipzig. But of course, we have Bayern after a defeat in Gladbach, after resting this week. They are very favorites to win this game.
Yeah, that's the problem, because they shouldn't be on the one hand, but they are in the other hand, because they're playing at home. And it's kind of unrealistic that any team beats Bayern Munich in Munich. And so Union Berlin also has the problem that they are really bad playing away compared to their great shape at home. So the odds are unfortunately too low for Bayern Munich. And in the German media, we have a lot of critics on Julian Nagelsmann and the whole Bayern team, that they are, because they lost one game now. And I don't understand that. That's complete insane, as you have to have a look at the complete picture, that Bayern Munich only lost their second game in this season. So what's the point here to say that that's now kind of big crisis? And you have to also look at how they lost, because they had a very, very strict red card, which was no red card at the beginning of the game against Gladbach. So then, they were playing with 10 players after a very hard game at Paris, when they were playing 80% of the game better than Paris. And at the end won this game, one of the toughest game and best teams in the world. So what's the problem? Is Bayern really in a horrible crisis because they lost against Gladbach? I don't think so. That's why I expect them to get back on track. And I expect them to do it in the first half. So the best thing is, I think betting on Bayern Munich wins the first half with 1.8.
Okay, Bayern Munich, Union Berlin. Is funny what you said, not because in our Champions League show, when we were analyzing PSG Bayern, someone said that there is more pressure on PSG than on Bayern. And I thought as well that there is also a lot of pressure on Julian Nagelsmann, especially after the previous season where they lost against Villarreal. No one expected that. And there is a lot of pressure on Bayern Munich doing a great season this year. Of course, they are just coming from a victory in the Parc des Princes, but if you are Bayern Munich, you have to win every single game also in the Bundesliga. Radek, this is it for this match day. We have a lot of good games in Germany. It's very exciting this season, the Bundesliga. Tell me which one is your safe bet.
Oh, yeah, the last one. As you see here, that Bayern Munich is striking back and winning the first half against Union Berlin. You get odds of 1.8. This is something I like best here, because this is a really, really tough game day. You can see that in the odds. We don't have any, or almost only one clear favorite with odds of 1.7 at home, which is Leipzig. And the other teams all have odds above 2 at home. So, no one, not even the bookmakers, have a clear decision here in the odds. And
Indeed. And your ACCA?
Also combining 3 Asian handicap -1, like I did in the last few weeks. And I'm going with Dortmund here, as they have a streak against a bad team like Hoffenheim. I really think Stuttgart should continue their run, and Schalke is not able to win their Asian handicap -1. And also a bit riskier, Bayern Munich beating Union Berlin with at least 1 goal in advantage. Even better if they have 2 goals in advantage. And we get total odds of 12.
Okay, let me know, guys, what you think about the ACCA, of course, in the comments. Thank you, Radek. Thanks, everyone. Remember just to support us. Bye-bye, Radek. Bye, everyone.
Bye.